Hello folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. So today again we'll continue with the standards on auditing, right? So far we have covered three standards, the initial three standards, SA 200, 210 and 230, right? So what were their names? So SA 200 dealt with the overall objective of the independent auditor and conduct of an audit in accordance with the standards on auditing, right? SA 210 was agreeing to the terms of an audit engagement, and SA 220 the quality control of an audit of financial statement, right? We are over and over repeating the names because that is very important for you. You need to remember the series, right? When we talk about SA 230, you know that we are talking about audit documentation. When we talk about SA 220, we should know that we are talking about the quality control of an audit of financial statement at the engagement level, right? You remember? Because in the examination, whenever you find a content that this portion or this part refers to a certain essay, right, then you will have to quote the name of that essay. That this is essay so and so number, so and so name, and this is what the essay says. That is how you have to write your answers. So remembering the name and the numbers are very important for you, right? So today we'll move ahead with SA 230, that is audit documentation. Now what do you mean by documentation, right? Documenting is actually preparing a record. Now what do you document? Practically, if you see, you need to document each and everything right from the beginning. The engagement letter that you sign, right? The appointment that you had received, the mails that you float for the communication of acceptance of an audit, right? You need to document them, right? After that, the plannings that you have made, you'll have to plan, you'll have to document your plan. This is our plan. This is the engagement team that will be involved. Yes, we have seen the independence of the team, right? This is the procedure we'll perform. This is the client personnel who will assist us. This is what we have received from the management. These are the list of procedures, the record of procedures we have performed. These are the record of evidences we have taken. This is how we actually calculated the materiality. This is how we used the materiality, right? This is the basis on which we have gathered these evidences, we have drawn this conclusion. This is our report. This is the backup. This is the notes to accounts. Everything, right? I'm just trying to give you an example that everything needs to be documented. Work not documented is work not done. That is a very famous proverb in your CA profession, in your audit profession, that work not documented is work not done. So you have to document each and everything to prove that yes, the work has been done, for future references, to safeguard yourself. If in future somebody comes up that no, you have drawn a conclusion which is not appropriate, then you will have to show, these are the evidences that I had obtained, that I had gathered. Please have a look at the evidences, refer to them, right? And according to the evidences, you have the conclusion. So that will be a safeguard, a security for you if you document the evidences, right? So, but basically when we are talking about SA 230, we are not dealing with all the documentation, right? There are three specific documentation that we will be dealing with, right? They are the specific documentation, that is the documentation of all the discussions that we have made with the management, within the engagement team and everybody. The documentation of the departure from the relevant requirement, if any. If there is a departure from the requirement of the standard, right, we will have to document it. This is the departure. And if it is a departure, then what is the alternate procedure that we have performed? Yes, this is the relevant alternate procedure we have performed, on the basis of which we have taken these evidences and made this conclusion, right? Third, we will be talking about the documentation of the matters which are arising after the date of audit report, before the finalization or before the closing of the client, right? So they will be the three specific kind of documentation that we will perform. So let us get into the essay and see in detail as to what is the requirement of SA 230, what is the objective, requirement and the application, right? So let us move ahead with it. So first we have the meaning of audit documentation as per the essay. So what does essay say about documentation, right? So our essay says that it is a record a record of all the procedures that you have performed, a record of all the evidences that you have obtained, and a record of all the conclusions that you have drawn. So these are actually three specific areas that summarize the entire thing. All your procedures, from the initiation of the audit till the conclusion of the audit, all the procedures that you have performed needs to be documented. You will have to prepare work papers for them, right? When you are preparing your work paper, you will always like note it down. These are the work done in the work paper, these are the workings, and then the conclusion. In each and every individual work paper, you perform it that way, right? So all the procedures that you are performing needs to be documented. Why are you performing such procedures needs to be documented. And when you are performing the procedures, you come across certain evidences. You gather evidences from the client, right? So the list, the record of all that evidences also has to be maintained. This will actually help you in future for your references. The procedures performed will actually help the entire team to synchronize the audit, right? To make it very comfortable, to understand what is being done, what is being performed. When your partner, he will sit down for a review of what you have done. The audit documentation of the procedures performed is what you will show it to him, right? He will see the work papers of each and every procedure that you have performed. May it be the test of controls, may it be the test of details, analytical review procedures, sampling, whatever you have done. The test check, the surprise check, right? So these things, when you have documented it, it is only then that it is possible for you to present it in front of your partner and then discuss your procedures. That have I done it great? Is it appropriate? Is it sufficient? Is there any modification that you require? Is there any additional procedure that you want? Because these procedures are not sufficient as per you, right? So documenting the record of all the procedures performed will help you over here. And when you have documented all the evidences that you have obtained, that will help you to draw the conclusion. And in future, if there is any doubt on the reliability of your conclusion, then these evidences are what you produce, right? And the conclusions that you have taken with each and every item, either at the assertion level or at the financial statement level, will also have to be documented, right? So when the management comes to you and hands over some data, right, and asserts that these data are correct as per them, what do? You don't believe them on the first go, right? You have to be skeptical. You undergo the checking. And how do you check that data? You perform certain procedures. Additionally, you gather certain evidences, and then you conclude, okay, the data provided by the management was correct. Or if there is any modification, if there is any changes, you will refer back to the management, right? So all these things that you have performed, right, that will actually enable the reliability on your performance, right? The reliability on the report, the reliability on the conclusion. These things have to be documented for reference, right? So this is the basic meaning of audit documentation. Only three things. Always remember: the procedures performed, evidences obtained, and the conclusion drawn, right? Now there are certain definitions that the standard goes ahead to give us, right? So since this standard has only three definitions, and one of it is very important for you, because when we are discussing the content of the essay, moving ahead with the content, you will understand that yes, there are certain terminologies that you need to understand, right? So we will go with the definition. We'll just go through the definition and try to understand what those terminologies are, right? We'll not spend a lot of time on the definition, but we'll have a quick view of what the definitions are. So the first definition that you have is the definition of the audit documentation, right? And it includes exactly the three things that we have decided. What it says is that it is the record of audit procedures performed, relevant audit evidences obtained, and conclusion the auditor reached, right? And these audit documentations are also sometimes termed as working paper or the work papers, right? So that is audit documentation. And all such documentation will have to be contained in one place, right, which is one file, right? So let us see what audit file is. Audit file is one or more folder or other storage media in physical or electronic form containing the record that comprises the audit documentation for a specific engagement. So if I talk about a practical example or a practice that is being followed, so people who have already witnessed it at your client, what you see is once you have done with the engagement, right, you take that hardcover file, you open that file, and then you place the divides. This is the financial statement, this is the audit report, this is the work paper for the expenses, the work paper for the bank confirmation letters, the debtors confirmation letters, other evidences, other work papers. All of these are maintained with inserting dividers in between in a hard file, right? So that is the audit file. And in Big Fours, what we have is we have an electronic storage system. So basically KPMG, we have e-audit. Over there you have to write down everything, you have to attach all the work papers that you have prepared, you have to attach all the evidences that you have attained, right? It is the entire flow. You record everything, the background of the client, the discussions, the plan of audit, the procedures performed, the conclusions, the evidences, right? All these things are attached. It is an electronic document. So for future reference, if anybody wants to refer to the same engagement or the same audit in future, they just open the e-audit file, right? And it is also rolled over in the next year, so that certain aspects which are common in both the engagement that are continuing from the previous engagement will already be there, and the new things will be updated. So that becomes very simple. And electronic storage can be stored by that process you can store large volume of data without occupying physical spaces, right? So that is an audit file when we are talking about. So it is always said that the audit documentation that is prepared, right, that has to be prepared in such a manner, right, such that it is sufficient to enable an experienced auditor to understand what he wants to. Like, it will enable that experienced auditor to understand the nature, time and extent, the result, the significant procedures performed and everything, right? So when we are talking about a documentation to be prepared for an experienced auditor, so who is that experienced auditor? How do we determine that, yeah, this is the level of experience of that auditor? So if he is experienced into these things, so we will prepare a documentation accordingly, and we'll deem that, yeah, these things will be understandable by him, right? So basically this is the third definition that we'll cover, is who is an experienced auditor. So this essay goes ahead to define that an experienced auditor is an individual, whether internal or external of the firm, doesn't matter, right, who has practical audit experience and a reasonable understanding of the audit processes, the standards on auditing and applicable legal and regulatory requirements, the business environment in which the entity operates, and the auditing and financial reporting issues relevant to the entity's industry. So what you understand is, whenever you are preparing the audit document, right, you'll keep in mind that an experienced auditor should be able to read your documentation. When we're talking about reading, it is not only your firm specific, that no, my firm follows this procedure, so all the chartered accountants or all the auditors in my firm, they are very familiar with this procedure. So even if I write the shortcut, or even if I just refer to such procedures, it will be okay for them, because they will understand what it is. But my dear friend, try and understand that we are not preparing a specific documentation, a documentation which is specifically understood by your firm personals. No. A documentation, an audit documentation should be such that it is understandable by any experienced auditor. An auditor from your firm, or an auditor from an external firm, right, who has some different procedures, some different practice in his firm. Even they should be able to understand your document, right? So your document should be a standard document with all the relevant by catering to the requirements of all the relevant standards, the legal and regulatory requirements and everything, right? You should have a standard documentation, right? Because that experienced auditor actually has the knowledge of the audit process, how to perform the audit, what do you mean by test of control, what do you mean by test of details, what is the analytical review procedure. The experienced auditor will know them, right? So these are standard things that you will use, right? The experienced auditor is always aware of the standard on auditing. He is aware of the applicable legal and regulatory requirements. So if there is something required by the standard and you are using it as it is, then you can always assume that the experienced auditor will understand it, right? That experienced auditor also has the knowledge of the business environment in which the client is operating. So if there is an auditor who has an experience in the manufacturing unit only, right, he will not be able to understand the documentation of the banking sector. So when we are talking about experienced auditor, we are referring to specifically those auditors who have an experience in the business environment in which this entity operates. So you will not have to generalize everything in the banking or bank audit also, like what is NPA, what is performing assets, what are standard, substandard assets. You will not go on to describe and list down everything. No, these are standard words which are used in that business environment. You can use those words for your audit documentation, right? If there is any auditor who has no experience in that department, may not understand, but that is not your requirement, because he does not fit into the definition of the experienced auditor as per the standard, right? Last is auditing and financial reporting issues relevant to the industry. So he's aware of all the auditing and the financial reporting issues. So you can go with the standards, right? So you understand what is the purpose of your documentation, what all things you need to document, and how do you maintain the audit file, right? So far, if we try and summarize what we have done, then we have understood that in this essay we will be studying about 3 specific kinds of documentation: documentation of the discussion, documentation of the departure from the relevant requirement, and the documentation of the matters arising after the date of audit report. Now when we talk about documentation, what is documentation? Basically everything that you perform, everything that you do needs to be documented, but this essay says that you will have to document the record of all the procedures performed, evidences obtained, and the conclusions reached, right? And then we have seen the definitions. This is all that we have done so far. Now we will commence, or we'll move ahead with the audit. We have already commenced it. We are moving ahead with the standard. So next we need to understand what is the nature and the purpose of the audit documentation. So basically audit documentation is an evidence of the basis on which the auditor has derived the particular conclusion that he has derived, right? It is always a basis of that evidence, basis of that conclusion, right? Then it is also an evidence that the audit that has been performed was performed as per the requirements of the standards on auditing, the requirements of the legal regulatory framework, etc., right? So there are two things basically. One is that it is an evidence of the auditor's basis for the conclusion, right? And two, that the audit was planned and performed in accordance with the standards of auditing and applicable legal and regulatory requirements, right? So this is the basic purpose of documentation, right? Now we go ahead to elaborate it, right? The purpose of audit documentation. So yeah, we have seen the conclusion part, we have seen the following of the standards and the legal part. Now basically, what are the other uses of this document, right? So when you prepare a good audit document, right, that will help your team to plan and perform the audit. Because for example, when you're documenting the procedures, when you're documenting a work paper, now how do I say that it will help your team to perform an audit? For example, in the previous year, right, you had documented the entire analytical procedure, right, or you had documented the test of control for any specific item. Then what did you do is that while you were preparing your work paper, you have given the heading, yeah, that this is objective of this work paper is to verify the existence, accuracy, valuation, or whatever was your purpose, and then you go on to write the work done. What are the work you have done? From where did you obtain the data? From what did you do with that data? Who helped you out? How did you summarize? How did you conclude? These are the work that you have performed for the documentation. After that, you perform step by step the entire documentation. You check the things and then you take it off. Finally, you write the conclusion. So when the person or the auditor in the subsequent year gets to see that work paper, he automatically understands that okay, the nature of the client is this, and if I want to check it, I will have to perform these procedures that has been performed by the auditor in the previous engagement, right? Otherwise also, when you are doing your work, when you are documenting everything stepwise, your audit team will know that yeah, these things have already been performed, right? These data are already available with us, so they will not bother the management over and over again for the same thing, right? There will be no duplication of work, that there are 4 members in the team, 2 are doing the same work. No, When it is documented, the other knows that yes, this has been performed. Right? So your audit documentation basically will assist the team in planning and performing the audit. Right? Next, if your partner at any point of time comes in between the audit and wants to supervise whatever you have done, what will he do? He will not just come and ask you, is this done? Is that done? You say okay, and he's satisfied. Okay, they must have done it, and he goes back. No. If you have done it, show it to me. If you have done it, where are the work papers? Because a work not documented is a work not done. So in the middle of the audit, when he wants to supervise, he will come and check the work papers. He will come and check the flow of the work, and your audit documentation will actually help him do that. Your manager at any point of time wants to see your flow, right? At the end of every day, he wants to see your progress. How will he check it? How will he supervise the audit? He will do it by referring to your work papers. That will tell him that yeah, these are the things already taken from the client. These are the evidences obtained. These are the tests already performed on this. This is the conclusion drawn. All these will be spoken by your work paper, right? Next is accountability. So at the end, right, for example, or in the subsequent year, or at the end, during the final review with the engagement partner, right, the manager is sitting with all the documents that has been prepared by the seniors, by the executives, everybody, and then the partner is reviewing the work paper, and then there is something critical that gets stuck. For example, with the debtor aging, right, there is some confusion in the debtor aging sheet, and even the manager is not able to understand what has happened. Something went wrong. Now who would you refer to? Who will come and edit, or who will come and amend that debtor's aging? How do you know? You come out and you ask, there's only one representative, only one executive remaining outside the office, and you say, who has done this work? You say, I don't know, I didn't do that, is what I'm sure of, but I don't know among the other three who has done it. How will you track? Right? So your audit documentation will say that yeah, this is the person who has done it. You will write it, this work has been performed by this person. So it will always show an accountability, right? That is one thing. Other meaning of accountability can be that at any point of time, if somebody doubts that no, you have not performed this task, you have given this conclusion without any evidences, then that accountability can be set by showing him that look, this is our work paper. This is where we have done the checking. This is the evidences that we have obtained. This is the conclusion that we have drawn on the basis of these evidences. Right? So basically your audit work paper will always assist your team in the planning, in the supervision, and in the accountability. Right? Then it is also a retention of the records. All the records that you jotted down, the record of the procedures, of the evidences and conclusion, that will be retained in your work paper for reference in the future. Right? Now, at the point of time when you are heading forward for the EQCR, Engagement Quality Control Review, or if there is any external person who has come in for a review, how do you get yourself reviewed? Right? He will not believe on everything you say. You will have to show him. You will have to show him the proof. Right? You will have to show him the entire work that you have performed, the data that you have taken, the evidences that you have obtained. You will have to prove him that yes, these evidences are legible. Right? These are legitimate. And then on the basis of these evidences, you have drawn the conclusion. You will have to show it to him. So your audit documentation will solve that purpose, will help you with the review at the time of the EQCR or inspection, or whenever there is a conduct of an external inspection. Right? An external inspection can be done by your legal, regulatory, or other requirements. Got it? So now do you understand what is the nature of your audit document and what is the purpose for documenting it? Where does it meet all your purposes? Right? So that is where we will end the discussion of this essay today, and we'll continue with the other remaining part of the essay in the subsequent lecture. So until then, please stay tuned. This is Abhinav Gupta signing off. Thank you. Bye-bye.